I think that we'll bounce back from this, but it will take some time. There's no doubt about that. But we're a growing city. I mean, the census hasn't, obviously results haven't come out yet, but this will probably be the first census where Philly has grown since the 70s.
Hey everybody, welcome to The Den. Today I have Trevor Hayward, the founder of Evil Genius Brewing Company. All they do is craft beers. He grew this from literally zero with his partner Luke to now close to $10 million in revenue. Took a bad hit during COVID, and he's here to tell everybody his story. How if you have a dream, you're passionate, and you love what you do, don't be afraid to go out there and make it. Trevor, thank you so much for coming to the show. I appreciate it very much, man.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, this is awesome.
You're from Ireland. You go to Villanova. You're in grad school. You meet Luke, your partner.
Yep.
You're in the middle of a recession, 2009. Can you tell everybody what happened? Tell us. First, tell us. Let's take a step back first. Let's tell us about Evil Genius Brewing Company. What is it? What do you do?
Sure.
You have a restaurant. What you like to call it? The
lab. Yeah.
The lab.
Yeah. So we've been around for 9 years, I mentioned. So right now we distribute to 7 different states, but we have one physical location where you can come and try our beer and our experimental stuff, which is down in Fishtown, just at Front and Palmer in Philadelphia. But most of our beer is actually made. We use a co-packer or a contract brewery up in Pittston, Pennsylvania, and then that beer gets distributed all over to the 7 states that we're in. So grocery stores, liquor stores, etc. So that's kind of where we are right now, anyway.
And how did this all start?
Yeah, so I was 23 when I moved here. My brother convinced me, he's been here a lot longer than I have, but to come and go to grad school. So I applied to Villanova, got in, and then 2 weeks after I started the program, Lehman Brothers failed. The whole economy seemed to be in free fall. And that's literally when I met Luke, my business partner, and we realized that we were very nervous, at the very least, of our job prospects post-grad school, and we'd both kind of been involved in other startups and were really liked the idea of working for ourselves. So we decided, hey, do you want to kind of take a risk? And the fact that we weren't so sure about our other opportunities kind of gave us that push to really decide to just go and run with this. And at the time, even though it's still doing really well, but the growth in craft beer at the time was huge. We were both home brewers. It just made a kind of a perfect match in that respect.
You love craft beer.
Absolutely, especially drinking it.
Yeah. But I mean, so you go from zero to build this multi-million-dollar company. You have a big facility down in Fishtown. I think you guys can hold up 200 people inside and out, correct? What you call the lab?
The lab, yeah, that's what we call it. So it's the lab at Evil Genius. Yes, we got a capacity of almost 200 inside and another 150-ish outside as well. So we can hold a lot of people, and we've done block parties with thousands of people over the years as well. So it's a lot of fun. And
you were impacted by COVID, right? I mean, you lost half your revenue, half your business, right? I mean, are you pissed? Are you mad? Now, especially looking back, we're 8 months out of this thing, and we're still at 50% in Philadelphia.
Right.
I mean, you got to have a little bit of, tell me what's going on. What's your thought process? I don't want to speak for you.
Yeah, no, obviously it was very difficult initially, and no one knew what was going on or how long it was going to last. So that was a really difficult time. And as you said, we lost half of our business. We're quite lucky that we also do have that other half, whereas, a lot of our restaurants and stuff that we work with lost their business almost entirely for many months. But you're right, we're going to 50% capacity in Philadelphia tomorrow. It's been a long time coming. Our numbers are doing well, but I'm on the belief that given there's no actual scientific data that says restaurants are the ones spreading COVID, that the restrictions have been probably in place for a little longer than they needed to be, and there's a lot of people suffering because of that.
I have no problem saying it's stupid. Yeah. It's dumb. It's actually not even. It's becoming a joke at this point. You have businesses are open, people are playing sports again. You have people doing what they want to do. People are going to people's houses, like we said, more than ever. House parties have been more than ever, gatherings.
Yep.
But you can't have 20 people, 30 people, 100 people.
You can't have a fifth person at a table in a bar.
And the hot dog's going to stop you from getting COVID.
Yeah.
The hot dog's the difference maker.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. And you can't serve after, I think it's 10 o'clock at night, and you can't stand up. So you got to make sure you're not standing up drinking after 10 o'clock, because then you get double COVID. Okay, and that's way worse than single COVID.
I mean, and that's the irony of all this. It's so political, right? Listen, I actually agree with you. We should have shut down in the beginning, knowing what was going on.
Yeah.
But everything should be open at this point. Everything. I mean,
I think there's certain restrictions that still need to be in place, like the mask wearing, that sort of stuff. Like, that's my belief. But I also think that we are now in a phase where we are living with COVID. Like, there's not going to be a vaccine next week. It's probably several months away. And even at that, it's going to take time for it to actually be distributed. So we have to have a plan.
Would you go get the vaccine right away? Would you sign up
I actually
first?
probably would. I'd be okay with it. I mean, I'd need to know more information than there's a vaccine. But
my wife's not going to get the vaccine, and my kids definitely aren't right away. That's just my wife, and that's just, I look at it this way, right? You know who it hurts. You know what the numbers are. The data's in.
Yeah.
The stats are in. No matter how people can scream and yell from the rooftop, this isn't political. Republican states are open. Democrat states are shut down.
Sure.
So you're telling me only Democrats get COVID?
I don't know about that.
I don't think so. Do you know what I mean? So it's so political. And the mask thing, I could give or take, right? Like I
think there's probably a middle ground between both of those things.
I mean,
and you're right, it's become political, but in a poor way. Like, for the longest time, people, like Republicans, were like, we're not wearing masks, and like, that's not right either.
Correct.
So but you're right. This shouldn't be a politics thing. It's a health thing.
It's a human being thing, but the problem is you're the one being hurt.
Yep.
Right. Other people. And some people are saying it's the way of the left bringing socialism to our country. And if you think about it, it's going to be hard for you to withstand what's happening if you couldn't withstand another shutdown.
No, I mean, I think we're going to lose a lot of restaurants and businesses in general. Like, even like my one friend had a doggy daycare. He basically lost his business because everyone's working from home.
Of course.
And that's... you're not going to pay for someone to take care of your dog that is just going to sleep by your feet.
1 out of 5 small businesses have already gone out of business. They're saying 2 out of 5 by the end of this year.
Yeah.
And I say to people, that makes a separation. And people are like, well, that will level the... No, it's going to make the elite richer.
Yeah.
The poor poorer, and wipe out the middle class.
Well, we already know that the very rich people have done very well out of this.
But I don't really think it's even their doing.
Like, no. It's like, it's just a...
They're not the ones making the rules. Unless they're telling the Democrats to keep us shut down, then they all should go to prison. I think we'd agree with that, right?
But I don't think they are.
I don't think they are. I think they're saying, you know what? You guys play your political bullshit, and we're just going to sit here and print money. Yeah.
And I think a lot of it comes down to that we just still don't even know that much about how this virus is transmitted. That's what it comes down to.
I agree. Like I have... it's funny because... I coach soccer, wrestling, and I'm a true believer in I'm going to wear the mask just because my kid gets to play. So I'm going to do whatever you say me.
Sure. Yeah.
My wife's restaurant's open tonight. We're discussing that. I'm going to wear a mask when I'm down there helping out tonight because do I think I had COVID? I was totally fine. Didn't even know I had it. My wife had it. My son had it. And there was no symptoms. No one got sick. But we're healthy people. But I don't want to give it to someone that's not healthy either, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm more of, if you know you're not healthy and you have issues, you probably shouldn't be going to a church, restaurant, bar, house party, any of those things.
Yep.
So let's get back into Evil Genius. What separates you from other brewing companies besides you love what you do?
Yeah, because, I mean, everyone loves what they do. And most people who start a business love that business and want it to succeed, et cetera. I mean, our philosophy has always been that, we don't, a lot of the craft beer industry kind of started to move in certain ways to kind of a very kind of snooty, almost the way wine went in the 90s, where it was almost like you don't know enough about this and I know so much more than you. And we don't buy into that at all, because beer has always been like the working person's drink, because it was never super expensive. It was always easy to make, because it is easy to make and to a certain extent. And so we wanted to kind of keep that. So we always used to say, we're keeping the fun in beer. And like one of our mottos is, very silly names for very serious beer, because we do take the process of making the beer very seriously, but we don't take ourselves too seriously either, because at the end of the day, this should be fun. If you're not having fun, then you shouldn't be doing it. It's kind of our attitude. So
what's been your biggest challenge growing your company?
Besides
COVID, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, setting that aside, obviously there's always going to be issues. I think the biggest challenges have always been when you are in a growth mode is trying to manage that growth, that you're not growing too fast and that you're putting some of the policies and things in place. And to be honest with you, because I always try to look on the bright side, it has been one of the things that I have got to do because of shutdown, is really look internally at our business and go, we're not really doing this very well. We can do it better or more efficiently. I'm certainly not suggesting that I'm glad COVID happened.
No doubt.
Not at all. But I will say that that's at least one benefit that we've been able to see, because when you're growing a lot, you don't have the time to focus on those things.
The majority of your business right now, I'm assuming, is through distribution centers, getting in this grocery. And that's you're leading the way doing that yourself, correct? That's really your charge, direct to the...
That's actually my business partner is more on the sales side of things, where I'm more marketing and operations. So we're with 22 wholesalers in the 7 states that we're in. So that's a lot of relationships to manage.
100%.
And then on my side of things, on the ops side, like we're shipping to each one of those places, usually at least 2 to 3 times a month, and making sure that everything arrives on time. So it's a lot of moving pieces. Yeah.
So we talked about the growth of your organization. You feel like social media has been one of the biggest pushes for you guys, social media, and also your partner going direct, selling, and making those relationships.
Yep.
Can you talk to me about first the social media impact and what it's done and how you feel about social media in general for your brand overall?
Sure. So like our demographic is definitely very social media focused, because the people who drink our beer are really like 25 to 45 is like the biggest group of people. And we're also a little different than other craft breweries in that we are close to 50-50 men to women, whereas a lot of other breweries will be a decent more on the male side. And even our place on the lab on Front Street, when you look in there a lot of times, not as much lately because people aren't allowed to be inside, we're actually focused. We have a lot more women customers than men, which is just, there's no good or bad reason for any of these things. It just is what it is, and that's cool that we appeal to a pretty good cross section of from a gender perspective. But to get back to the social media, what we kind of found is that we connect with people because of the fact that we don't take ourselves too seriously, and that is literally what a lot of social media, especially Instagram, is. It's about fun things. It's not supposed to be super serious, although anytime there's an election, everything becomes political, and then it's not as fun anymore.
Makes you want to not even open your phone.
Literally, yeah. So it's like, can we get back to the memes, please? So that's kind of a big factor for us, and it really helps kind of grow our brand and get people connected to us and let them know what's going on with us too.
And I'm assuming you're going to, when you're using social media, you're really focusing on literally Facebook and Instagram for most of the demographics. You're not tweeting too much. I don't think you're doing LinkedIn too much, right?
We're on Twitter, but like it's not a big focus for us. But like Instagram is definitely our biggest platform that we use. We have about 40,000 followers on there, whereas like Facebook, I think it's around 15, 16, and Twitter's somewhere in the like maybe a couple thousand. I can't really remember. It's much smaller, yeah.
As your brand keeps growing, is your social media impact helping your partners sell, saying, hey, this is where our sales are going? Has there been crossover of using that to say, listen, people are following us, people want to be part of us? Have you guys leveraged that?
I definitely think so, and we know that like people look at our, like even our accounts, like restaurants, beer distributors, grocery stores, look at what we're doing on social media to know even what's coming from us as well, because that's where we make a lot of our announcements and things too. So.
And you keep it fun, like you.
We try to, yeah.
Like you. I mean, I'm assuming you're not married and don't have kids.
I do not, no.
Yeah, because you just have like the personality of like me, like 20 years ago, like let's have fun, like you are the idealist entrepreneur of hey, I came out of grad school, I made it, and I know you want to keep going, but listen, you're doing millions and millions a year and you're having fun while you're doing it. I know you have some stress, but you smile a lot and you seem happy.
Yep, no, there's no doubt about that.
What's next for Evil Genius? What's next? What's your final vision, you and Luke? Do you sell to a private equity firm? Do you sell to another brewery? Or are you just going to keep building this and having fun, enjoying yourself?
Yeah, and like we talk about this all the time. I mean, no one's coming knocking trying to buy us from like Anheuser-Busch isn't knocking our door down or anything like that. And that's totally fine because we're not really interested in selling. We're interested in growing. Like when you got like the growth that we've had over the past several years, and I always say this, like I'm not done yet. I still got a lot of creative juices left that I want to utilize. So I could see us, just getting bigger. I don't know that we'll ever be a national brand. I don't know there'll be that many more national brands, but there's a lot more growth. Like we're only in 7 states. So there's still many more that we could probably get into that would appeal to us, because we get messages all the time. Like I literally just answered one yesterday from someone in Australia saying, do you send any beer here? But we get it from other states that we're not in all the time saying, I can't get your beer here. Why not? And I'm like, we're not there yet, but we will someday.
What is, and congratulations on all your success. I mean, you've had tremendous success. What do you think, if you guys keep going the way you're growing, will you double in the next 3-4 years?
I mean, that's a hard one to answer just because of everything that's happened this
COVID.
year.
Prior to
But
COVID.
if prior to COVID, yeah, that would have been a goal that we would have at least doubled over, a 3-4 year period. Absolutely.
How do you feel about the Philadelphia restaurant and craft beer scene? Do you think it's a good one? Do you think we need better places? Do you think it's gone downhill? What's your opinion?
Again, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see what the outcome of everything that's happened this year is. But in general, like before all of this year, we had an amazing craft beer scene here. Like we were one of the original beer cities in that respect. As it used to be a city that was very focused on imports, like Belgian beers and things like that, because craft beer didn't exist. This is like 20 years ago, more in fact. And then as beers kind of domestically kind of developed like these new interesting beers, a lot of the beer distributors here sought them out and brought them in as imports from like other states as such, and that was made Philly a city that people wanted to travel to because they knew they could try a lot more different beers. At this point, a lot of other cities get access to all these things too, but we're still an amazing beer city in that respect.
And do you think you clearly aren't afraid to go out and about?
No.
I mean, you shook my hand as soon as you saw me today.
Yep.
Okay, so you're kind of on my side, I believe, where I'm going to live my life and move forward. Do you think restaurants and bars ever come back in 2021, or do you think this is just going to loom now and just really destroy the restaurant bar business?
I think we're going to lose a lot of restaurants. I mean, we've already lost some. I think we're going to lose some more, but I also think that we're a pretty resilient city, and so no one likes us, we don't care type thing. I think that we'll bounce back from this, but it will take some time. There's no doubt about that. But we're a growing city. I mean, the census hasn't, obviously results haven't come out yet, but this will probably be the first census where Philly has grown since the 70s. And that's a good thing. And I don't think that COVID is going to have stopped that. So there's going to be people here who want to go to bars and restaurants, and things that close down will either hopefully reopen or someone else might take them on. It's not going to happen overnight, but I don't think it's going to destroy us totally. No.
We're in a recession. Not a recession. The economy's doing incredible right now, but we're definitely in a pandemic.
Yeah.
It's listen, I use the word pandemic, scandemic, wherever you want to sit on. I don't care. I'm not here to get into the political views, right? Just what you want to believe. But our lives have been altered.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people that have lost jobs, that are scared. For that young entrepreneur out there on the final roar for you, Trevor, what would you say to him? He's in college, he's in grad school, just got fired.
Yep.
Doesn't know what to do, but he's thinking about, or she's thinking about starting their own business. What advice would you give him?
Well, I mean, what I would say is like we started ours during a recession, and I think I think almost all of the major like tech companies, Apple, Microsoft, all started during recessions. So it seems like recessions, and I know that this isn't technically one, but it is kind of in a weird other way.
It's definitely weird.
That I think there's a lot of opportunity that comes from the fact that there's this whole, I don't know what the right term is for it, but what's going on right now, there's opportunities for people too,
Well, you heard it from Trevor. Build his business by handshakes and going direct and social media. The power of digital marketing, the power of networking, and loving what you're doing and not being afraid to go for it. Trevor, thank you so much for being on The Den, and congratulations for all your success and what a great brand you built in the craft beer industry.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please don't forget to follow me at Lance Bachmann on Instagram and Twitter. Follow me on Facebook at Lance Bachmann Digital. And every Thursday we drop a new podcast. Don't forget to listen to it. We're giving out great content. And remember this is the time to build your business right now. Let's effing go, everybody.